So customers naturally want to understand what the process for going solar is like. Typically, this process is about 3 months, give or take, given a couple variables, and it would begin with the consultation process. Usually, when a customer reaches out to us, the first thing we do is a remote evaluation or assessment of their site. With satellite image and with LiDAR technology, we can get a really good sense of what's possible on that property without even traveling to the site. We would start by looking at the customer's electric bill. We look at the total annual usage of energy, and that becomes an offset target for us when we design a system. We're aiming to offset 100% or more of that customer's energy if that's feasible at that site. So we would take that information, we would develop a model within our design software, and then we would set up a screen share, a meeting to do a video conference with that customer to give them some preliminary layout, production, generation, and incentive numbers, and also explain financing, the opportunities for the net metering, the incentives, everything like that. That's phase one of the consultation. And then if the customer wants to proceed after that, we would follow up with a site visit. Our energy assessment looks at the consumption of that customer over the course of a year. For net metering purposes, all of the generation doesn't need to be happening at the same time as the consumption. So we look at a 12-month comparison of generation against a 12-month comparison of the consumption. So we're going to look at that customer's energy use over the past 12 months, and then our model aims to generate that amount over the course of a year. After we do a video consultation with a customer, we're going to do a site assessment if they're wanting to move forward with the project. At the site assessment, we take definitive roof measurements, we finalize the layout, we take electrical details, check out the meter, the main service panel, and we have to have structural approval from an engineer to proceed with any projects. We're always going to check out the rafters or the truss structure of the roof to make sure there's the integrity to continue with the project. That wraps up the site assessment portion, and at that point, we would move forward with an agreement and proceed with engineering and permitting. After an agreement is reached, there's about a 3-month window until the installation typically, when engineering and permitting is taking place. The first step of the project, after everything's finalized, is to proceed with engineering plans, which we complete, and then we use those engineering plan sets to apply for both interconnection permit with the utility as well as a township work permit. That phase of the project usually takes 3 to 6 weeks. It really can vary depending on the township and the turnaround time for the interconnection permit with the utility as well. That, again, processes around 3 to 6 weeks, and then usually is another 4 to 6 weeks for our crews to get on to the site to actually perform the installation, depending on our queue of work at that time of year. In addition to the engineering and the interconnection and township work permits, during the time of between the agreement and the actual installation, we're also ordering materials and getting through the queue of work that our crews have at the time. This can be dependent on seasonality, depending on weather, depending on how much we have in the pipeline at that time, but that process is often 4 to 6 weeks in addition to permitting. So day of installation, our crews will end up at the job site. Our crews are awesome, professional, have been doing this for years. Depending on the project size, installation can take 2 days or it can take 6 or 7 days. It really depends on the project size, but the guys are great. They're very professional. Almost all the work is on the exterior of the house or the business. They're going to interconnect at the meter. They're going to do the roof work. And at the conclusion of the project, we're going to schedule an inspection. After the crew has completed the installation, then we schedule an inspection. So the township contracts with an inspector who will come out and approve the inspection. And at that point, they submit their report to the utility company. And then there's usually another 1 to 2 weeks from the utility who will issue permission to operate. At that point, after permission to operate is issued, then the system begins being credited under the net metering agreement of the utility. So at that point, the system is live and the customer is beginning to save money with their system. We're also, during that window of time, going to apply for SREC income to be credited to the customer through our solar aggregator or broker, Sol Systems. So that process after installation can take anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 weeks. We do our best at Bright Eye to keep customers informed of where they're at in the process. Again, this is a 3 to 4 month process between consultation to site visit to permitting application and engineering, equipment, material procurement, and then finally installation and inspection, permission to operate, and SREC setup. So there's a lot of variables and a lot of pieces going on there, and it's important that we know that you understand where you're at in the process. So we aim to communicate, and as a customer, it's good to ask questions to understand where you're at in the process.